Please, I'll encourage everybody to please mute themselves. Don't worry, I'll mute the person. I'm not sure he's aware. Mr. Victor, kindly ensure that you mute yourself, okay? I want us to be very conscious, okay? Please, let's ensure to mute ourselves. All right, I know it's not intentional. So I'm going to mute everybody. For now, I'm going to mute everybody and they will not be able to unmute themselves, okay? So you have to use the chat box and I'll get your message, okay? All right, so good. So now everybody can see my screen and everybody can hear me. So we'll just get started. So yesterday, rather Monday, we started off with introduction to AWS. We learned a ton of things. We learned how to access AWS. We were able to do a lot of amazing things. Our major focus was how to onboard and migrate users into our new AWS accounts, right? So let's show the architecture which we demonstrated in the last class. I'm going to choose this and I'm going to type Excalibur. Yeah. All right. This was what we had in the last class, and we're able to follow all this step by step to communicate the whole concept. All right. How many of you were able to attempt my task? You've attempted the task and you understood everything. Just type yes on the comment section. You understood the task, just type yes on the comment section. Okay, okay. I'm seeing a lot of yeses. Okay, which means we're good to go. So, but I'll do a little recap on it and then we'll build upon it. Okay, now the program is intentionally designed to handhold you. Okay, as we begin to move into the deeper waters, right? I will release my hands. Okay, you'll be the one to do the hard work yourself. So I'm being very intentional so that I don't lose you from the beginning. Okay, so when we get to a certain point, you will be the one to do the hard work yourself. Okay, so don't worry if you feel like we are very, very slow, or especially for people who has done this introductory parts before. In fact, some of these things I've taught you, I can actually teach you in 30 minutes. Well, I'm intentionally using all these analogies and details just so that you can get the big picture, the entire concept. And also, I realize that we have a lot of persons that are new into the IT space. So a lot of persons are transiting, okay, from one career to the tech space. And they will be getting, they'll be seeing a lot of technical buzzwords or jargons, right? Rather than using those buzzwords, I want to use day-to-day living terminologies that they can relate with. Okay, that's the reason why my methodology is different. Okay, or it's this way. All right, having said that, let's proceed. In the last class, I gave us a task that required us to onboard IAM users, but I encouraged us to create a group. Okay, you create a group, and when you create this group, you add users into the group. IT department, finance department, audit department, and the human resource or HR department. And then we have what we call services, okay, and or policies, okay, that will give us permission to specific services. Okay, now I'm going to do some explanations and then I'll go and attempt to do the task and then we'll build upon it. If you see the title of our session today, it is Introduction to AWS Security. Even though we are not literally going to be diving so deep, but this is the security aspect of the AWS cloud. So I can choose to retitle today's session to be Introduction to Cloud Security. But I mean, that is me trying to create a clickbait type title. You understand? But that's not the goal. But it's still the same thing because we are literally learning security, but in the cloud. Okay. Now, one of the things I will want to draw your attentions to everybody is something I will call, I quickly want to mention something, service, resource. Okay. Service, resource. You will hear these terms a lot of time when you're in the cloud industry. For please, I want someone to remind me, if not in the next class, maybe subsequent classes, but before the end of the program, right? Or maybe Friday, right? Remember on Friday we're going to be doing a review or mentorship session. This is if you have any question career-wise in the tech space, or if you have any issue as regards the task and some of the learnings, Friday, I think maybe 1 hour or so from 8:30. We'll just do for anybody that it's not compulsory, okay? It's just the troubleshooting review session. It might come very handy when we start going into deeper sessions, okay? A lot of hands-on stuff. But for this introductory session, you might not need it, but I feel some persons might need it, okay? Okay, so please remember that you can refer all your questions there if you think this is not a good time to ask them. Okay, so there's such a thing as there are a lot of technical terminologies we will be exposed to in the cloud industry. All right. And by so I mean you could hear words like fault tolerance. If you're writing, don't worry about it right now, because I won't explain this, but I just want you to know that there's such a thing as this literal words you will be hearing in the cloud industry. You understand? So these and many more. Okay. These and many more. But I don't want you to um bother yourself. Availability zone. I don't want you to bother yourself trying to memorize them. That's not the goal of the program. Okay. My goal is to see how much you can understand. Then over time, as we build upon, you will understand all the terminologies. Okay, I hope this makes sense. So I intentionally not mentioning some of these buzzwords and technical terminologies. Okay, when we get there over time, we'll be introducing them step by step. Okay, even though I've talked about regions and availability zone, but we'll still touch it later on. Okay, so but one of them I want to focus on is something we call service and resource. Okay, now friends, I want you to understand that on AWS, right, we have so many services. AWS has over 200 services. If you open your AWS account, these are all the services in different categories. All right. So if you are a business person, okay, and maybe you are into media and different types of media, and you're thinking, how can AWS help you? How can you utilize the cloud computing feature or benefits of AWS? Now, if you come down here, you will see something under media services. You can click on this and you see a whole lot of services that falls under the media aspect, right? So you can evaluate them and so on and so forth. Okay, just check them and know what they can be used for and so on. You get now, if you are into game development, you click on this, you can use this. Okay, so if you're into robotics, you can click on this, and then you see you can click on this. Okay, if you want to create a database and so on and so forth. So AWS has different services. Okay, so the services provide features that can that can solve our problems. Okay, services as provides features that can solve our problem. I hope we understand that. Now, with a service, you can create a resource. That's the major difference. Remember, I am trying to show you the difference between service and resource. Okay, so with a service, you can create what? A resource. Okay, just like in the last class, we used the IAM service. Okay, if you come under security, identity, and compliance, if you're under this section, you click on security, identity, and compliance. You don't need to worry yourself with all this form of security services. There is one here called IAM, all right? Identity, access, and access management, all right? I explained to you what this meant in the previous class, right? So this is one of the services that AWS provides. Now, with this service, we can create so many resources. I hope this is making sense. Okay. So this is so you can understand AWS properly. Okay. So that you don't interchange them. When you hear service, you hear resource, you get confused. Okay. Please take note of those key difference. Okay. A service is what you use to create a resource. Okay. A service is simply a feature of AWS that you use to solve a problem. Okay. Or you have access to a particular for you to have access to a specific feature or benefit that AWS promises, you get it through the services, but you will need to create a resource. Okay, services can be used to create resources. Okay, just like IAM, if I click on this IAM right now, it's going to load the page. All right, and with IAM, I can create different resources. Okay, and even though I called it components in the last class, if you remember this, we called it components in the last class. If you watch here, IAM components, users, groups, policies, and roles. Now, we have so all of these components can also be referred to as resource. Okay, so when we create a user, we can refer to it as a resource. Okay, take note of all these differences. Having said that, friends, the most important thing I want us to let's backtrack so that we can solve the problem we did in the last class. And once we solve the problem we gave in the last class, then we'll build upon it. Okay. Now remember, if you are following this session, I encourage you, do not use your root account. Do not use your root account. Always ensure you are using what your IAM user account. All right. Now, if you're still confused about what's the difference between the IAM user and the root account, the root account is the one that's going to prompt you to log in with your email. Okay. Any account you log in with your email is the root account. Okay. Email and password. IAM is not going to ask you for email. You see that? IAM is only going to ask you for your account ID, your username, and then your password. Take note of those differences. Then you can know which of them you currently logged in as. Good. Now, in the last class, I asked us to create groups. Now, if you click on groups, from our previous class, we've understood that groups help us to categorize. Okay, we use groups to categorize users. Okay, just like in a bank, in different departments, you can have finance department, HR department, what is it called? Different kinds of departments. Okay, so and in that department, there are different users there. So that's what we learned in the last class. So if you've not done the assignment, it's very simple. Now, but I'm going to do a demo, but I'll be faster. I'm going to create a user on this account. I'll do this by clicking on user. Now, when I click on this, I will create a user and call this user Vivian. All right. Now I will choose this. Okay. And I will choose this. This is how I taught us how to create a user. Okay. Now I will provide a custom password, or I can just choose this, right? Oh, let's just do this so that I'll put this. Okay. If you're wondering what I did, say my password. It's not difficult, but passwords should be difficult. Please, I'm very heavy on security. Ensure your passwords are very secure. Okay, good. Let's move on. And I'll leave this. Okay, for this demo, I can remove this. Nothing's going to happen, but I will leave it. It's fine. Let's move on. Next. Now, add user to group. Right now, I've not created any group, So before I told you, you can choose attach policies, right? And then ignore the policies and scroll down. I can also leave it here. It doesn't matter. As long as there's no group, there's no problem. Did you see that? So I'll just click on next. So you see, I'm not adding it to any group. I'm not copying any permission. Okay, there's nothing going on here. I'll just click on next. All right. So if you watch here, there's nothing here. Okay. Then I'll give it, I can give it a tag. I told you what a tag is. It's a way of identifying that resource or organizing the resource, either by title, by department, or by name. Okay, it's just a tag you use in identifying the resource from what we learned in the previous class. Okay, it can be junior. All the staffs here can be junior or senior. Okay, it's a way of identifying them. So I can come here and just say title. I can come here and say senior staff. Okay, something like that. Now I'll click on create user. Now I have created this user. Very simple. Is this the same for everybody? Please, if you can hear me, type yes on the comment section so I'll be sure, because someone said they can't hear me, just to be sure. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I encourage you to please exit, disconnect, and reconnect again. You will be able to hear me. I encourage you. All right. Okay, let's continue. I want to really cover a lot today so that we can close earlier. All right. So now I will click on this. All right. Once I click on this, I'll be able to download it. Now, before I do that, I want you all to notice something. I'll click on this. I've downloaded the credential. Now, this is the credential. I told you one way to log in is to open another browser, okay? Or you open incognito mode, all right? So this is another browser. This is another browser here, right? So I can come here. This is the console URL. Click on this, click here, and paste it, and hit enter. So it's going to load that page. Then it's going to prompt me for the username, or what we call IAM username. I told you that even if you create 20 IAM users, they will all use the same ID. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Every account has a unique ID, okay, which we call the account ID. Take note of that. Good. So I'm trying my best not to waste more time so we can cover a lot today. Username, I'll copy this Vivian. In this, the IAM username, I'll copy this and paste it. Okay. It's asking for password. Now click on this and paste the password. Now, for some reason, I've clicked on download here. What if mistakenly, right, you did not download this and you clicked on return to users list and you forgot the password? What do? If you come to users, you're going to see all the users you created here, right? You're going to see all the users you created here. Okay. Now, the user I just created right now is called Vivian. This is the user I just created right now. Okay. Now, I want you to understand that if I click on it's clickable. Click on it. Now you will notice it gives you a summary here. Okay. And then you can see different tabs, permissions, groups, tags, security credentials, access advisor. All right. These are different tags. We are not going to rush to start explaining everything one after the other. Okay. I just want to make sure that you understand the barest minimum and we build progressively upon it. Okay. Now, the most important thing I was explaining to you is what if you lost your password? Okay. Which means, or just maybe you did not check the box that asked you for password. You know that box that asks you to set password or prompt the user to change password. If you don't do that, you're not going to see any policy here. Okay, so how do you solve that problem? There is a tab here called security credentials. Okay, security credentials. Remember, how did I get here? I went to users and I selected the particular user I want, Vivian. Okay, so under users, you select the user you want, Vivian, and you see different tabs here. Okay, and then this is the security credentials. You click on it. Now, did you notice it has the URL here, and then it tells me the console password is here. Then it tells me I have never signed in. So once I log in, once I click on sign in, it will update this thing with the minutes that I signed in. Okay. Now, what if there's nothing here, meaning that you don't have the password? Just click on manage console access. Okay. Once you click on this, you can now reset the password. Okay. Now, it might not, this is showing this way because I already created a password. But I can assure you that if you don't have that feature, you're going to see how you can create a custom password. Okay. And that will solve that problem. Okay. Once you choose this, you will have opportunity to set a custom password like this, and then you can click on this. All right. I hope this makes sense to everybody. Okay. So let's log in. I'll click on sign in. All right. So remember, this is a demo. We are trying to make sure we understood the assignment that was given to us in the last class. So we just created a user. Okay. We just created a user, and we're trying to get access to it. Okay. Now it's prompting me to set a password. So I'll just come here and say, all right. Okay. Beautiful. I've been able to get that password. Okay. Now, this is the account I just created. Now, let's come back to this architecture. So if you create a user, we made sure to make everyone understand that by default, all users are denied access. Okay? You will not have access to any resources. Okay? You can see the services, but you will not have access. Now, let's prove that. You can see access denied for every service you see. Okay, I told you many services are here. In the last class, I showed you with EC2 and with S3. What if I want to use another service? Okay, now I know at this point, some of you don't know what is EC2 or what is S3. We will get there. Okay, so let me use another popular service that you might not be aware, but let's just say I want to do something with it. Okay, let's say I wanted to create a database. Okay, a database is like a container where I can store and organize information. All right, a store or a container where I can keep my information in an organized way. So if I click on database, okay, there's a type of database I can create called RDS. Okay, so I click on it. Let's say Vivian, the user we created this account for. Vivian, okay, can you see it up here? Vivian, the person I created this account for, happens to be a developer. Okay, happens to be a developer, and her job is to confirm that Achiever, who created the AWS account, gave everything is working very fine. Okay, so Vivian logged in, and Vivian is trying to test all the services. Okay, remember, in this analogy, Vivian happens to be one of the staffs. Okay, so we created an AWS account and we're trying to onboard her into the AWS account. Okay, we're trying to onboard her into the account. Now, when we created the account for her, she says she wants to try access she wants to be able to access a service and create a resource out of it. So she accessed the AWS RDS. Okay. Now let's create a resource. All these are different types of resource. So, but I'll just click on create a database. Okay. So if I click on create a database, this is what's going to happen. Let's see. Let's be patient. patient. All right. So let's now standard create, easy create. I'll just choose the easy create. Okay. So now at this point, it's asking me for, let's just give it random names. I'll just put DB1. Okay. I'll come down. Don't worry about some of the things. Don't worry, we're going to learn some of these things. Okay. So this is me just giving it a random database instance name. Okay. So this, remember, what we're trying to do is Vivian testing the services. Okay. Yes. Yes. I can increase the font size. I want to believe you can see it clearly now, right? Thank you for letting me know. Please confirm if you can see it. All right. So let's see. Okay, good. So, for some reason, this is not, okay, hold on, let's see. It's taking time to load. Let me see if I choose this, if it's going to load faster. I just want to get an option to show you that if I try to create it, it's going to tell me access denied. That's the goal of what I'm just trying to do. So no matter all the options I choose, if I try to create any service, it will tell me access denied. Okay, so while this is trying to load, I want to bring you all your attention to something. Whenever you hear the word IAM, there are a few things I want to come to your mind. It is authentication. You know what? Let's change this. For some reason, I think if I choose, yeah, if I choose authentication, let me know if you prefer the other fonts. I'm sure this is better. Authentication, and then we have authorization, right? So there's such a thing as authentication, and there's such a thing as what? Authorization. Okay? Authentication, authorization. Come here. From our previous analogy, okay, you know what? Let's go back so that will be faster. Okay. Remember this analogy here. Okay. We're discussing authentication and authorization right now. We are depicting Chief Abiola's company. It could be a bank or any other company. All right. Now, anybody who wants to enter this company, they need to provide a form of identification. Okay. Especially maybe during COVID or during in maybe crises or different kind of crisis in different nations and so on. People, security consciousness is usually heightened, right? So people are asked to provide forms of identification when boarding their flights, when entering offices, when entering banks, and so on and so forth. So you are asked to provide your identification. Okay. So this process of providing your identification, what we are trying to do is to authenticate. All right. We are trying to authenticate. Okay. In other words, we want to know who you are. You are who you claim you are, and you are verifiable. Okay. So that's what we call authentication, and that's what we call verification. Okay. So if you present an ID and say, this is who I am. All right. So if it's a sophisticated organization will compare your information with their database to verify that your claim is valid. When you have your authentication has been verified, right? This user will be given access. Okay. Now, friends, do you know that it's one thing to get authentication, but it's another thing to have authorization? You might have authentication, but you might not have authorization. Let me use analogy of the governor in your states, in your countries, because I believe we have so many people from different countries here. Okay. A governor of a certain country, right, has both the authentication and the authorization, to do certain things. If that governor moves to another state, right? Moves to another state or county, as your nation calls it, right? If you move to another state, yes, you might have the authentication to come into a meeting based on invitation and your status. You may be authenticated, but do you have the authorization to enter that governor's office, or do you have the authorization to enter his bedroom, or do you have the authorization to enter another office? The answer is no. Okay, let me ask you, is it yes or no? Can a governor from another state go into another state and access anything he wants? Yes or no? That's the question. Can I get your comments, please? Yes or no? Okay. No. Okay. Someone said yes. Okay. No. We have two no's. No. Okay. So let me paraphrase the question again so that you know the answer is actually no. Okay. So a governor, right, from his state does not, he might have the authentication. For instance, the governor of a state, state A, all right, let's, so that you can really get the picture. So this is state A and this is state B. Okay. So now, if the governor from this state comes to this state, right, on invitation, okay, yes, because he's been invited, he might not necessarily bring an ID card, right? But because of his status, right, his entourage, the security and the rest will be the one to go before him and say, okay, we are representatives of the governor of so state, and we are here on behalf of His Excellency and so on. And then the security of this state will say, oh, you're welcome, Your Excellency, and they will let you in, right? Now, that this governor comes into the state does not mean that he can walk into the court, a courtroom of the judge of this state, and nullify the meeting. Neither can he walk into the hospital and choose to cancel, maybe cancel a law or a policy there. Why? Because this is not his jurisdiction. Sorry, I'm using all these terminologies, but I'm sure you all get it, right? He doesn't have the authorization to do anything here. His authorization stops here. Okay? His authorization stops here. Now, um, while I'm also trying to do that, I said I was going to use this to let me see if I'm able to use this to show you that Excalibur. Um, so so you can do this yourself. All you need to do is just when you open Excalibur, you just click on this text to diagram, click on it, and say a finance a finance bank that has a CEO and organogram for different roles. Okay, so this is what I want. I'll click on generate. Let's see if it's going to do what I want for lack of time. Okay, good. So this is what I want. I'll click on insert. So this is just so that you all can understand my analogy. All right. So I don't know if you can see it clearly, but if you can't, let me increase the font. So um so this is just trying to show you that this is a CEO, this is a chief financial officer, and you see people under him. Do you understand? So this person might have, each person might have authentication to go into an organization, but their authorization level will differ person to person, department to department. Please, I hope this makes sense to everybody. I just want us to have a mental picture so that we can understand how this works. Okay? All right, good. Having said all this, let's come back here. Where are we? Okay. We're trying to test this service, but for some reason, it's not loading properly. Let's load it again and see if it works. If it doesn't, I'll just use another service so that I can show you. Okay. So if you're following me, I'm sure you must have encountered the error. For some reason, this is not loading. Okay, but while it's doing all those drama, let me continue with my explanation. So, um, I'm sure that you all understand the concept of authentication and authorization. Now, to dive down on the authentication and authorization, I want you to always think of who, what, where, and how. Okay? Who does what? What can who can do this? What can you do? Where can you do it? And how can you do it? Okay? So whenever you're thinking about IAM in the concept of authentication and authorization, I want you to think of who does what, who does what, or who have access to what can the person do, where can the person do it, and how can the person do it. Okay, please don't forget these things. I'm going to use this to explain policies. That's the reason why I'm putting it here, so that you can all get the big picture. All right, so let's come here. So for some reason this is not responding again, so I'll just maybe use another service. Let's say for instance I want to check maybe S3. So I'll click on storage. There's a service called S3 or even EBS. Let me see if there's EBS here. Okay, there's no EBS, but let's just use S3. Okay, S3 is like a bucket, a container where you can store information on the cloud. All right. So if Vivian says she wants to test if this S3 is working fine, remember we created the account for Vivian. So we click on this. Now, when we click on this, we expect the page to load. All right, it's taking time. Friends, bear with me. Okay, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Now, I do not expect this page to show to give me access to create any resource. By default, I can see the service. Okay, as you can see, this is the service. Okay, if I want to create a bucket right now and I click on this, okay, this is what is going to give me opportunity to create a bucket. What if I say I don't want to create a bucket? A bucket is like also called a container. You'll be taught what it means and how to use it. Okay. Now maybe if you click on this, you're going to see buckets here. Okay, you want to see other containers other people has created. If you click on this buckets, did you notice I'm supposed to see some buckets here? But what does it tell me? It says you don't have permissions to list buckets. In other words, you don't have permissions to view the buckets or containers. Okay, so you will need permission to do this, and it tells you the specific permission you need. Okay, the specific action, okay, you need. And once you've done that, you will be able to get access. Now, let me use this to explain the concept of policy so that you all understand. So, friends, you all remembered that we created this account on this page. Is it not true? And if you notice, under permissions, okay, you see that the only permission this person has, the only policy, I told you the difference between policies and permission, okay? Policies is simply a collection, okay, of permissions, okay? A permission for reading, a permission for creating, permission for deleting, everything you need permission for to create, to delete, to read, to list. You need permission for everything. All right, good. So if at this level you put all those permissions together, we call it a policy. Okay, and those policies are usually in what we call JSON documents. JSON documents. We're going to dive deeper in subsequent session. We have an advanced IAM session. All right. Now, if you watch here under these tabs, you see permissions. There's only one here. It's called permission policy. And this is for changing password. So the only thing Vivian can do is to change password. And that is why Vivian cannot do anything here, even S3 buckets. So from our task, I told you all to simply create different users and give them permissions, but you shouldn't do it on the user. Okay. Now, if I want to give Vivian a permission to see that S3 buckets, how do I do that? Can you see add permissions here? There are two ways actually. Either if you click here, you see add permissions and you see create inline policy. Okay, there's create inline policy, there's add permissions. Add permissions will give you opportunity to select from predefined permissions. In other words, permissions that already exist. I'll take it again. This is for permissions that already exist, but this one is for permissions you want to create by yourself. Okay, or you want to bring permission, you want to combine permissions together. Okay, we're going to teach you how to create them. Okay, so I'm just going to stick to this one we've already understood. So remember, I want Vivian complain. No, what I'm doing is not for my example. In this example, I am using the root user. Yes, but please, I encouraged you all not to use root user. It was deliberate. Okay, there are some things I cannot do if I am using another user. Okay, and I won't be able to teach you properly. That's the reason why I'm using the root account. But I encourage every other person not to use the root account. I hope that makes sense. Okay, good. So, the next thing, what I'm saying is this. This is how to create the permissions. So I will click on add permissions. Okay. So remember that Vivian complained that she cannot see S3. Okay. This is what Vivian complained. She sent an email. Okay. From our architecture here, you see that we created account for Vivian, only for Vivian to go and complain. Okay. To Achiever and says the person who is onboarding, I don't know, for some reason, I don't have access to S3. Please help me solve that problem. Achiever says, okay, no problem. I'll do just that. Achiever went to the back end as the admin, not as the root. Okay. So that's what one of the powers of the admin. If you have admin access, you can give permissions anyhow you like. Some of you that were asking questions in the last class, what's that admin access we ask you to choose? Anybody who has the admin access policy will have superpower. The person can give as many permissions as they like. Only someone with admin access can do that. Okay. Although if you have IAM full access, you can also do that. All right. But let's just limit it to what I'm explaining. So right now, from all these three, right now, we don't want to add Vivian to any group. We don't want to copy any permission from anybody. So you can copy a permission from another user and give it to Vivian. But right now, I don't want to copy, but I want to attach policies that already exist. So I'll click on this one and it shows me all this permission policy. Now, friends, if you watch here, I want you to pay attention on this called all types. Can you see this? All types. If you click on this drop down, you can see three sections, three categories there. Customer managed job function, and AWS managed. Friends, I want you to understand that, first of all, if you watch this, you can see this yellow icon. Anytime you see this yellow or orange icon, I want you to know that it is indicative that this is a policy that was created by AWS. AWS created this policy, and AWS will be responsible for updating the policy. What do I mean by responsible for updating it? So if for any reason AWS they added a new feature, right? A new feature right now, you know that that new feature will not be able to, you will not have access to it directly. So AWS responsibility is to add it to some of the policies. For instance, administrator access, so that anybody that has this access will also be able to access that new feature that was created. Okay, so that's what we are saying, that AWS managed policy are policies created and managed by AWS. I said again, they are created and managed by AWS. All right. Now, that is indicative by these yellow icons. All right. Now, if you click here, you're going to see this, and this is the one I just explained. Now, we also have another one called AWS Managed Job Function. What does that mean? Now, what that means is these are policies that are created by AWS, but they are designed for specific functions or roles. Let me prove that to you. If I click on this, watch what's going to happen. Did you notice that it filtered it and showed me all of them to be job function, right? Now, if you watch here, did you notice that if your function is as an administrator, AWS is telling you you can use this policy. If your function, if you want functions that has to do with billing, anything that has to do with billing, AWS has created a policy for you. If you want any policy that has to do with database administration, any policy that has to do with data scientist, network administrator, power user. Now, did you all remember this one? Can you all see this? Is it giving you all a clue about the assignment I gave you? Please, if you can relate with what I mean by this, just type yes. If you understand this based on the task I gave you, just type yes. Okay, good. So let me check with my. Okay, great, great. I'm so glad the Teams guys are also following. Great. So if you see, so these are different what is it called? Functions. Okay. So this is read only access. Okay. So AWS is assuming that you want to create a you need a policy for someone who only needs read only access. Okay. For example, an auditor in a bank, or maybe just a CEO that doesn't know how to do any technical thing, but he just wants to be seeing what is happening. You understand? So you can just create a user IAM user for him and attach this policy. Remember, a policy gives you permission on what you can do and what you cannot do. All right, good. So if you're also a security auditor, so you may be wondering, what's the difference between this and this? The only way to find out is by clicking on this plus here. So if you click on this plus, it will expand it. And once it expands or toggles down or cascades down, you'll be able to see more about all this. Now, for now, please don't worry about all these things you're seeing here. This is simply what we call a JSON document or JSON statement. Okay, JSON, see it here, JSON or JSON, if you prefer to pronounce it that way. So J stands for JavaScript, S stands for Java is actually together JavaScript object notation. JS is JavaScript, O is object, N is notation. All right. When we get to our third week, I'm going to give you access to a resource that will help you to understand JavaScript notation properly. In fact, I think this is a good time. I can actually do it now. JSON and W3 schools. Yes, I think it will help you to understand um everything we'll be doing when we want to dive deep into what is it called? IAM. Okay. So please, I want to encourage everybody to please read up on this. And please, I want to be um I'm very, very cautious about security. Try not to click any ad so that you don't get any pop-up you do not expect. Okay, just be very conscious. Okay, because this is only going to load the things that is found in your cookies and other details. Okay, so now most importantly, once you read, make sure you don't click, just look for the next button and continue reading. Okay, now let me share the link so you, if anybody wants to go through it, you can stop wherever you think you understand. Okay, so the goal is not to touch everything there, but it's just for us to understand a little bit so that when I'm doing the explanation, you don't get confused. All right, I hope that makes sense. So for those in the, what is it called, for those in the WebEx, I've actually shared the link with you all. And for my friends in Teams, I've also shared the link with you all. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Good. So let's continue. Having said that, if we come here, you see that these are JSON documents. Okay. So when we get there, I'll show you how to create or write this kind of statements you see here. Okay. Although I may not dive so deep if this was a cloud security class. During my cloud security trainings, I usually teach people how to find this, how to come about this, and to dive deep into it. But trust me, it's beyond the scope of this class. It's just too advanced, and I don't want to confuse you. That's not the goal. Okay, so let's just collapse this right now. Click on this to collapse it. All right. So read, if you check on security audits, you can also see this. Okay. So this is how to compare. Okay. What is here that you cannot find here? Okay. So you just be the one to decide. And if one thing you should understand is you cannot edit these policies. All right. You cannot edit these policies. They are AWS managed. Even though they are designed to be job functioned, they are AWS managed, which means only AWS can update them. I want you to remember this. Only AWS can update these policies. So if you click on this plus right now and you say, okay, I want to add something to this, you cannot. The only thing you can do is to copy it, but you cannot edit it. I hope that makes sense. All right. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Okay. You cannot do that. Now, having said that, let's proceed. Now, the third one that we have here is called the customer managed. Now, these are policies you created by yourself. Okay? By yourself. Policies you created by yourself. If I create a policy, it will always come out under this section, customer managed policies. So if I select this right now, you see, these are the policies that I have created. Okay? Now, if you're wondering, okay, Frederick, can you just prove to me? Sure, I can. Click on this. Click here. Or let's remove this. If you see this, you all can see policies here, right? Good. Just right click this and open it in a new tab so that we don't confuse this. Okay. So this is what you see. This is for policies. Did you see that? This is policy deep right now, but I'm just going to show you something very, very simple. Okay. So I'll just click on create policy. Okay. No. Oh my God. This is lagging. Please, could you be faster? All right. So let's see. This is lagging. It's lagging. Okay. Okay, good. So once you click on that create policy, you we're going to dive deep into it, but you will notice that there are two ways to create a policy: visually or using the JSON code method. Okay, this is the visual way, which you can click, click, click. But this, if you click on JSON, you see, it shows you something. If you click on visual, you see this JSON, visual, JSON, visual. Did you see that? Good. So supposing I just come here and don't worry about what I'm doing right now. Don't worry about what I'm doing. So let's see. Okay, so now this is something simple I did. Please don't worry about what I just did. I just created, this is like creating a policy. Okay, okay, okay. Oh, so sorry. I don't know. This is this. I really don't know you guys were seeing it. So sorry about that. Okay. So sorry. Now, so this is policy. Okay. We will learn how to do some of these things. Okay. So supposing I'm done creating the policy, right? I'll come down and just click on next. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Invalid prefix for, did I put anything? Okay. Column. I need to put column there. Let's see. Yes. Okay. So now, if you're wondering what I did, let's go backwards. Please don't worry yourself for now, okay? We're still going to learn how to create a policy, okay? So this is a simple policy I'm just showing you. that I'm creating. Okay, so this is S3. Okay, this is just saying S3. I'm trying to create a policy. Okay, but before I even go into all this, right, friends, I want to also let you know that sometimes you don't need to memorize a lot of things. Okay, you don't need to memorize a lot of things. Right now, as I'm doing this, some of you are wondering, how is it doing it? This is looking like code. Code messes with my head. Oh my god, I don't think I can do this. Don't worry, I have you in mind. So, several things you can do. If you want to create a policy for S3, for instance, okay, we want to create an S3 policy called full access. Remember, the problem we are trying to solve is for Vivian to be able to see S3 buckets, right? So, and that's why we're trying to create a policy. There are three ways you can do it. One way I usually solve my problem is going to Google. I'll just come and say, how to create S3 full access policy, full access S3 bucket policy. Did you see that? I'll click on it and I'll see different kind of results, Okay. Now, first place to check. Okay. If you're using Google, okay, first thing, if you're using Google, this is a beautiful place to always get your problem solved. If you're a developer or somebody that's into development or someone in the cloud, this is our favorite website where our problems are usually solved. If some of you are familiar with Quora, there's a platform called Quora or Reddit or Quora. If you're familiar with those platforms, then there's something called Stack Overflow. All right. It's where questions are usually being asked and they are solved and you get answers. So Stack Overflow is one place. So I can right click this and open. Now, the second place you should likely check to solve your problems, second place to check to solve your problems is called AWS documentation. I say it again, AWS documentation. It is a good practice to always know how to use the documentation of any provider. Okay, it's just like the manual for your TV. Okay, you cannot go and read the Samsung manual when you have an LG television. All right. So if you are using AWS, you need to reference AWS documentation. And if you are on the policy here, if you watch by the right side, watch my cursor at the top right. Okay. Top right, you're going to see this I symbol for information. If you click on it, it toggles and shows you this. You can always click on this policies and permissions in IAM. Once you click on it, it will open a page from the AWS documentation. Then your job is to search the documentation for the policy you want. One of the good skills of a cloud engineer is how to solve problems using the documentation. All right. So if I want to use S3 now, I'll come here and type S3 policy or S3 bucket policy. I'll click on this. You understand? And possibly I'll just hit the enter button and see. Hopefully I'll get some results. Okay. Now, do you know that these things I'm doing here, I actually found a result here when I use Google. See, once I see docs.aws, please always check the URL so you don't click something else that takes you to a spam or scam website. Can you see? This is pointing me to the documentation. I can also click on this. Did you see that? So this will also take me to the documentation. Okay. So now, either this one or this one, this is the Stack Overflow. And you see, this is how a Stack Overflow looks like. Now, majority of the time, Stack Overflow will tell you, somebody will answer your question and explain why they prefer that. Okay. Now you can read all their explanation and work with it. So either I want to choose this and test it, or I want to go to AWS documentation and look for the policy I want. Okay. Now, this policy might be able to do the job for me. Or if any of this two resource does not solve the problem, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the most reliable, in our modern age that everyone runs to, but recruiters frown at it because they expect you to know how to do it, is ChatGPT. Okay, so if you've not heard about ChatGPT, ladies and gentlemen, please use ChatGPT. Create an account. It's free. Create account. It's free. Some of you use it in your daily work operations. Some of you have heard about it, but you've never used it. This is your call to create an account. Simply come here and type, give me an AWS. Let's increase my font so that you all can see me typing it. Give me an AWS S3 full access policy. And then you hit enter and smile because it's going to be kind to you and give you the exact response you need. Okay, this is all. And I think this is exactly what I did. If you all can see it, that was what I did there. Now, but because we choose to prefer ChatGPT more, I can just come here and copy the code. But this is not a guarantee that ChatGPT will always be correct. You see that? Good. Now, at this point, if you can do this, you can add AI professional in your resume. It's not wrong. All right, so I just copied this, right? So you can do this, or you can just click here to copy it, right? Now, remember, we want to solve the problem, okay? So we will come here. So remember, we are trying to create the policy here. So this is how we are trying to create the policy. So I can remove all these things here, okay, and paste it. I hope nobody's confused. I pasted it here. Now, let's close this. Once I've pasted this here, come to the bottom, and click on next. Okay? Don't worry about how to interpret those things. I'll teach you later. So give the policy a name. I'll call it grant. There's usually naming convention, okay? When naming items, okay? Organizations have different naming convention. Sometimes they use capital letter, sometimes they use small letter, but I'll just keep it very simple. Grant Vivian, or I can just say grant S3 full access. Please, I'm going to take your questions in a short while. So this policy grants anyone full access to S3 service. You see that? So I'll come down and click what? Create policy. So I can even give it a tag if I want to, but I'll just click on create policy. Ladies and gentlemen, you have created your own policy. This is how to create a policy. Okay? Now, we've created a policy. You see, all these are policies that we have. Remember, all types, if you click here and now choose customer managed policy. Can you see the one I created is here? It was not there before. If you come here and choose AWS managed job function, you won't see it here, except you come under word customer managed, and then you'll see it here. Friends, I hope this makes sense. We've learned how to create a policy. If you understood everything, please type yes on the comment section, just to be sure. Can you please type yes? Just so that we're sure. Okay, okay. Thank you, everybody. Okay. I want to believe it's same for my... Okay, okay, good. All right, so let's continue. We are trying to solve the problem so that we can give Vivian access. Okay, so now that we have created the policy, okay, remember, the only person who can create a policy is the person who has admin access. Okay, so we've created a policy. So how do we attach that policy to Vivian? All right, now, so all we need to do is go to users. Okay, you're going to see Vivian. This is Vivian. Click on Vivian. All right, now when you see Vivian, right now, this is the only policy Vivian has. Is it not true? Good. Just click on add permission. Click on add permissions. Then if it tells you you say attach policies directly, Then all you need to do is just to click here and say customer managed. Then scroll down to look for the one you created. Once you select this, then you see what? Click next and say add permissions. You see that? Now, did you notice that under permission policies, Vivian has two? Do you see that? Now, can we confirm from this page here? You know, it was telling us you don't have permission before, and we've granted a permission right now. We've attached a policy, okay? And I told you that a policy is a collection of permissions, okay? Okay, so now if I come here and reload this page to see if it will show us the bucket, I'll click on reload. Let's see, let's see. Beautiful. If you can see these buckets, so these are the buckets or containers I created. It can be any name, okay? Don't worry about the naming convention, okay? You can give it any name, all right? So this is how to create a policy, okay? So ladies and gentlemen, Vivian will be proud of us and say, boss, Mr. Abiola, yes, I have access to AWS Cloud and S3 is working very fine. Achiever did an excellent job. Now, Achiever will be asked to not just create Vivian, okay? Achiever, do the same thing for Sarah, do the same thing for Timothy. Or let's assume because of the task I gave you all, right? In the IT department, there are three persons, Vivian, Chioma, and Toby. They are the three persons under IT department. I'm supposed to do the same thing to all of them. Now, friends, let's assume I come here, I want to, so they ask Achiever to do it, right? So Achiever comes here, clicks on users. If Achiever checks here, he doesn't see Toby, he doesn't see Chioma, right? So what does he do? He clicks on create user. Now, Achiever is going to come here and type Chioma, okay? So one other way we usually, I told you about naming convention, okay? So you can put Chioma and then put IT department, okay? A kind of naming convention, just so that you can identify things, okay? So I'll choose this. I'll choose this. Now, I'll choose this. Okay, so let's say I'll leave it the way it is. I'll click on next. And I won't add it to any group. I'll just click on next. And yeah, so that's all. So the only permission it has is that to change password. I'll click on create user. So we've created the second one, right? So return to the list. Yes. Okay, I know what it's saying, but okay, let me download it just for the sake of downloading. I'll return to the list. So if you watch here, we have what is it called? I've been able to create Vivian and I've been able to create Choma of IT department. You may be wondering, can we edit this name Vivian and put IT department? No, it doesn't allow you to edit a username. All right, if you've created it, you've created it. At least to my understanding. Okay, let's check it. I clicked on Vivian. If you watch here, you can see you can edit this name. All right, I have not been able to find anywhere you can change that name. Okay, so you can only just delete it and create another user. Okay, so in case you're asking that question, what if I want to edit this Vivian? Okay, some of you could say that I'm reading your mind, but that's the idea, just to make sure you understand. So let's create the third one, which is Toby. Okay, so I'll click on create user and say Toby. All right, and say IT department. Okay, I'll click on this IAM user. Okay, now I'll leave everything the way it is. Click on next and click on next. Yes, that's all. I'll click on create user. Friends, if you watch, I've been able to create the three of them, Toby, Vivian, and Toby, Vivian, and Choma. Friends, you know that if they, so these three people that are in IT departments, or maybe another, they're in this IT department, they're supposed to have access to S3. Okay. You know, Choma by default doesn't have any policy. How do I know? Click on it. If you check on that policy, you see that she doesn't have any policy other than to change her password. Okay, even though I say she doesn't have any, by default, I actually created one, which is for only her password. Okay, now, but other than that, she cannot do anything else. So it's as good as saying she doesn't have any permission to do anything. You get that? Now, so am I supposed to add S3 full access, the one we got from Chat GPT? The answer is yes. Okay, so we're supposed to come here and open trauma department. Okay, go to permission, click here. Now, but friends, that is very tiring. You agree with me that it's tiring if we have to do the same thing for trauma and do the same thing for Toby. So that is where groups come in. You create a group. Okay, so if I come to this place, I will create a group and now call the group IT department. All right. Now, when you call it IT department, you can now choose to attach so you can do it like this, or, so, okay, let me just add only one. So let's say we want to add Vivian to this group. Or no, for now, let's say we want to add Choma, just Choma. Okay, I selected Choma. And so if I scroll down, so I can put some policies, but I don't want to. So I'll just scroll down and say create the group. So immediately I create the group, it created the group, and inside that group, there's one user. Okay, but there is no permission to it. So friends, if you watch this closely, you will notice that this is trauma. So now, friends, I want you to understand that another way we can add users to this group is by just clicking on add users, which I told you in the last class. So I'll just come here and select Toby and say add users. You see, so we have 2 users inside our group. Everybody knows how to do this. Now, friends, now, instead of giving, so if we add 10 users in this group, instead of adding policy to each one of them, we can add the policy to the group so that anybody who joins the group inherits the policy. We learned all those things. So, friends, I want to ask you all a question because I know you all understand this right now because we've done it. That's the assignment. Okay. So, do you think it is beneficial for Vivian to still retain that policy? So Vivian can still have her policy and still join the group. For instance, if I come here, so this is the user group, is it not true? And there's no permission on that group. So if I open this group and this is permissions, I click on this. Okay. So there is no policy for the people inside the group. Okay. So if I come here and say add permission, did you see add permissions? So I can click add attach policies. I can click here, customer managed, and attach that policy I created. Did you see that? So if I come down, I say attach policies. So what does that tell you? It tells you that anybody, so this is the policy, okay? So it said attached entities 2. So if you click on this, you see it's telling you that this policy belongs to people in this group and also belongs to Vivian. In other words, this policy is attached to Vivian and this policy is attached to this group. It's saying this group and these users as entities, okay, or resource. Now, but this is not good, okay? Let's try and add. So these users can do exactly the same thing that Vivian can do. I'm sure you all know that. You can test it, okay? Just access this Chioma right now, try to log in, and you'll notice that Chioma can access S3. Why? Because Chioma has inherited the policy that is attached to this IT department. I hope this makes sense to everybody, please. If you don't understand, please let me know in the comment section. All right. Now, let me save time so that we can touch other things quickly and try to wrap up. Now, friends, this is where it gets interesting to show you other things I planned for today. If you watch here, we want to attach Vivian as well. So if I click on add users and select Vivian and click on add users, you will notice that Vivian is here, right? So each user groups 1, okay? In other words, Vivian is in 1 group, okay? So if you watch here, if you click on permissions, you're going to see this is what we have. This is what we have. If I go back to users and I click on Vivian, you're going to notice something. Vivian Under permissions, she has this and she has this. Now, but did you see attached via? So Vivian's permissions was attached both directly and was also attached through a group. That's what this thing means. So this policy was attached directly and also attached via a group. And I'm sure you all understand. And this is because Vivian, this user right now, this Vivian is actually under a group called IT department. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Good. Now, but I do not encourage you to leave this policy on Vivian. Okay? So the best practice is to remove this policy from Vivian. Okay? Since she's already in a group that has that policy. So you just select this and click on remove. Okay? And remove. Did you see that? So you go to the user groups and um I'm sure you all can hear me audibly. If you go to the user groups and click here, you will notice that this is not here. Okay. I think there was something. Okay. For some reason, it deleted her from the group as well. So all you need to do is just come here, click on add users, just select Vivian and add user. So she's back to what is it called? She's back to the group. But if you check on the users, you will notice that Vivian does not. Okay, hold on. Vivian has that policy, but it's only attached via the group and not directly. I hope this makes sense. So all this policy is attached via the group. This is what we call best practice. I hope we understand. Best practice. So in the concept of who, who, what, where, and how, who can access what can the person access, where can the person access, and how can the person access. Okay, now let's resolve this and wrap up the session. Now, I'm going to touch on two things called MFA and budgets. MFA and budgets. Okay, now still in the whole scope of authentication and authorization. We are not touching so deep into policies because we have plans to touch into that. Okay. But before I touch this, let me just do justice to this rule. Okay. Even though I plan to touch it later, but I'm sure we all understand how policies work now. What is a rule? Okay. This rule you see here. Okay. I want you to see this rule, which is another IAM concept, right? If you watch here, you see that this is an IAM component. All right. So role can be referred to as an identity or a label. I want you to see role as a label, okay, or a hat. Do you agree with me that as an individual, you can both be a father, a leader, a footballer, and a teacher? Is it possible? Is it possible that one person can be a father, or rather, just because so that I will not be gender specific, one person, either male or female, can be a parent, can be a footballer, can be a teacher, and also be a leader. Did you see that? These are four titles. Okay, one person. So let's make it. Thank you so much for your feedbacks. So let's come here and put this here and say we're talking about roles. Okay. So I want you to see roles as a label. Okay. And one person. Let's do this. Let's do this. Okay, let's just do this and say just one person can be a parent. Okay. right? Sorry. All right. So one person can also be a leader, or let me say a teacher. Another person can be a dancer, same person. All right, good. So one person is wearing a hat or a label. Do you understand? This is just one person. So this is you. Okay. This is you. Okay. So in AWS, you use what we call a role. Okay. It's like a hat or a label, and you can become multiple things at the same time. Okay. You can assume. We use the word assume. Okay. Take note of the keyword assume. Okay. So you can assume the role of a parent. You can assume the role of a teacher. You can assume the role of a dancer. Okay. So AWS uses this component role for special functions like as assumption. For instance, let's come back to our case study here. Okay, friends, do you, just like we made mention, right? If somebody, let's say Mary, or let's say Vivian, for instance, confirms that Vivian is, she's going to be due, right? She's maybe, let's say, um she's she's expecting a baby, right? She's about to give birth to two set of twins or triplets, right? Now, and she wants to go for her maternity leave, right? Now, there are specific roles that Vivian can do, right? Now, but you want to be very careful that you don't give permission to any person, just anybody, right? So you can create a role and say, okay, anybody who wears that hat or who assumes that role can perform the same function that Vivian can perform. So if Mary decides to take that role, Mary can take the role of Vivian, perform the operation, and when she's done, she'll go back to what she's doing. Okay, so I want you to understand that roles are temporal. Okay, so in the entire concept, we see roles to provide temporal access, or what we say credentials. Okay, therefore temporal credentials. Okay, you want to just do something for a very, very short time. Okay, now because it has, after a period of time, you can, it's going to expire. Do you understand? Now, apart from that, roles also, apart from this, roles are usually used by different things. Roles can be used by users, roles can be used by services, or what we call applications. Now, what do I mean? What do I mean? Friends, if you observe what we've done so far, right, you will notice that whenever we create a policy, we can attach a policy to a user, right? We can attach a policy to a user. I want you to know that roles can also be attached to both users and other services that you have here. So other services are acting as identities that you can attach them to. For instance, if you want S3 service, okay, in the concept of building an application, right? If you remember our gaming application, right, where we are building for Chief Abiola, if you want to store, let's say, okay, let's paint the picture so that everybody can understand, so that I don't lose you in the whole explanation. So, friends, I want you to see that in the cloud, we decided to use a service called AWS EC2. Okay, EC2. And this service is actually AWS virtual server. Okay, so this is the service we are using right now. Okay. Now, in this service, okay, we decided to install Chief Abiola's game app. Do you understand? So Chief Abiola's game app is running here. Okay. Now, customers can be able to view this application from anywhere they are. Do you understand? Let's get this. Okay, good. So customers can be able to view Chief Abiola's gaming app. Now, for some reason, this application, right, might need to store your record, okay, your progress. If you're the kind of person that plays games sometimes, if you remember games that you play when you were little as a child, some games, by the time you play the game and for some reason you lost, you notice that sometimes you have to reset and start from the beginning. Sometimes you feel frustrated. You wish there's a way your game progress can be stored. Is it not true? So those record can be stored somewhere. So and AWS says there's something you can use to store it. Okay. They have a service, a container bucket service called S3. Sorry. They have a service called S3, which you can, okay. They have a service called S3, which you can use to store your data. Now, in the world of AWS, one service, remember this app is stored inside a service called EC2, right? This is one service, this is one service. And if you agree with me that there are so many services here, is that true? Now, this service, by default in AWS, one service cannot talk to another service, okay? Because of security reasons. So that if a hacker attacks this service, they cannot by default try to steal something from another service. So by default, AWS blocks that one service cannot talk to another service. It's just like when some of you install Truecaller on your phone, do you notice that sometimes Truecaller wants to be able to have access to your messages? Okay, so you'll be the one to grant permission or not, right? So by default, except you allow it, it will not happen. So service cannot talk to another service except you allow it. So how do you allow a service talk to another service? That is where this guy comes in. His name is called rule. Okay? That is where he comes in. So with the help of these rules, right now, both of them will be able to talk to each other. If you understood this analogy, please type yes on the comment section. Please, if you understand, can you type yes on the comment section? Please. All right. Okay, good. Good. Thank you, guys. We're about wrapping up, okay? We're about wrapping up. All right. So now we've understood the concept of IAM policies. We've, to a great extent, everybody has understood these components: users, groups, policies, and rules. For now, we might not be touching rules, okay? Don't worry about it for now, but at least I've explained it and you all understand these components. The next most important thing I want to talk about right now is what we call multi-factor authentication. And then we'll talk about AWS budgets. Okay. I'll try my best to wrap up this thing as fast as possible so that I'll be sure we're done with this and we can move on with S3 in the next class. Okay. So friends, remember I talked about authentication, authorization, who, what, and where, right? Now, when you hear the word, some of you have heard about this word before called MFA. Okay. Can you type it on the comment section? What do you know MFA is? If you know what MFA is, can you type it on the comment section? MFA. Can you tell me what it is on the comment section? Anybody? Just to be sure you all understand it. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Beautiful. So now that's exactly what it is. Multi-factor authentication. All right. Now I've told you what authentication is. I explained this analogy using two governors, right? Two governors from different states. I've told you what authentication and authorization is. Now, friends, authentication is a big deal. Okay? It's a big deal. So anytime you try to access your Facebook page, you will need to authenticate yourself. You will need to provide you see a login screen where you need to sign up with your username and your password. Is that true? Friends, if you agree with me that you need to log in with your username and your password. Now, there are different ways to log in. In recent time, the previous way people are aware. So let's put it here, multi-factor, multi-factor authentication. All right. So let's so okay. So now, okay. So friends, I want you to understand the most important thing you need to understand is when we use the word multi, it means there are so many factors. Okay. Back in the day, we are just familiar with just one factor. Okay. A lot of persons are familiar with one factor, which is simply logging, signing up with your username and your password. This is one way of authentication. Okay. One way of authentication. Okay. Now, over time, over time, there've been a lot of improvements. You've seen things like single sign on, single sign on. Now, you may be wondering, what do I mean by single sign on? Have you have you ever logged into an application or I don't want to call it federation right now so that I don't confuse you all, but have you ever tried to log into an application and they tell you to sign up with your Google account or sign up with your GitHub or sign up with your Facebook, right? They ask you to sign up using a particular platform. Good. That is another form, another type of authentication. Okay, please, I want you to understand that. Okay, now, but there are several types of factors, so many factors. Okay, now, but in the concept of factors, the most important thing I want you to understand is so these are the key things we usually consider. Something you know, you understand? Something you know, something you have, and something you are. These are the three ways of getting multi-factor authentication. Okay, so these are the three types of multi-factor authentication. There could be more. Okay, now when we say something you know, what exactly are we referring to? Okay, now sometimes we are referring to things like signatures. Okay, we're referring to things like signatures. We are referring to things like PIN. Some of you will be asked to provide your PIN. Whenever you want to sign into your phone, you ask you to provide a PIN. That's a form of authentication. Is it not true? It's something you know. You will know your signature, you will know your PIN, or you will know what your password. These are the three popular types of things you know. Okay? This is something you know. Signature, PIN, and password. Now, please, why I'm teaching you this is so that you'll be security conscious in AWS. As a cloud engineer, you need to provide sound counsel. As a cloud engineer, you need to understand how to provide expert counsel and have a good understanding as to how the technology works. That's the reason why I'm giving you this I don't want to call it layman, but I'm using these examples to help you understand. All right. So signature, PIN, password. You and I know that this form of authentication is not sufficient. Have you ever asked yourself if this is secure? For some of you that do it, I want you to be very conscious. Sometimes you may be asked to do something. You do a transaction with somebody, and the person will tell you, okay, can you sign? I want you to sign. Um, Sign this document for me. My question to you is this: what is the proof that the signature the person is signing is his original signature? Have you ever wondered that? sometimes people bring documents, or HRs and the rest of them, companies bring, when we want to apply for jobs, they bring forms and ask you to sign. What is the, how do you verify that the signature I gave you is actually, or it's my genuine signature? What if it's just something I just fabricated just for that purpose? I don't know if you understand. So I'm not trying to bring a debate right now or uproar, right? I'm only trying to show you the limitations of one-factor authentication. If your service or AWS has only this one-factor authentication, it is flawed already. You understand? If you are creating your password, somebody can look over your shoulder and see you typing the password. Okay, somebody can, you can also mistakenly tell somebody, maybe you want to take something, you can tell your spouse, please just type it for me, the password is this, and the person will just type it, write it down somewhere, so that he or she doesn't forget it. And um, maybe, I don't want to use the word carelessly, but somehow left the password somewhere, and someone just prying around found it and kept it only when they decide to try it, and the person has gotten your password. So this is not secure alone. Okay, so something is not secure. So we are using multi-factor authentication. This is one factor. Now, something you have can be another type of authentication. Do you understand? Now, you may be wondering, something you have. What do you mean? Okay, well, you have eyes and you have hands. I'm sure some of you use fingerprints. Is that true? If you use fingerprints, it's something you have. It's a unique way of authenticating your identity. Okay? What about your eyes in terms of facial recognition? I'm sure you all know what that means, right? It's something you have, so you can use it for authentication. All right? So imagine when you combine this and this. So you create an application and you tell the person to log in with his username and password. After the person does it, you now tell the person, all right, provide another authentication by fingerprints or facial recognition. You are increasing the layer of security. That's what we call defense in depth. Defense depth. Okay, it is an extra layer of security, making it harder and difficult, not just for yourself, but for any other malicious person that might intend to poke around or have access to your account on without being authorized to do so. Please, do you understand? Now, we can stop with these two authentication, but there can be more apart from these three. Okay, something you might have. What are we referring to? You could have a key or you could have a token. Some of you banks give you tokens. Is it not true? Or sometimes you can even get an SMS message with a random number. You understand? Or it's random code. Okay. So sorry. Okay. Sorry. I think, excuse me. This is, I'm misplacing this. So this is supposed to be something you are, and this is supposed to be something you have. Okay. I just realized it when I looked at this. So I want to be sure that you all are not confused in any way. Yeah. So this is it. Something signatures, PIN, password, something you have, key, token, SMS. You can have these tokens, something you are, your fingerprints or your facial recognition. These are, so if you have any service or application that has these layers of security, then the more the better. Okay. So that's what we mean by multi-factor authentication. You can have as many as possible. Some people stop at just one, but you can have as many as possible. Now, how does AWS ensures our security? Remember that our job was to move Chief Abiola's gaming application to the cloud. We want to guarantee Chief Abiola that his data is going to be secured, that he's not going to be hacked, and so many other possibilities that cloud computing provide. One of them is called multi-factor authentication, what some people call 2FA, two-factor authentication. Right now, I just told you multi, which means it's more than two. Okay? Two-factor authentication is good, but I just showed you multi, which means two or more. I hope this makes sense. Good. Now, friends, I want every one of you to ensure that if you sign up, if you are in your AWS account right now, click at the top section where you see your user. Okay. Now, I want you to see security credentials. Okay. Security word credentials. Now, for some reason, I will not do this on this account because this is an official account. Okay. This is an official account. And I'm I'm going to use another one. So let's okay, yeah. So for instance, this is the Vivian we created, right? Now you may be wondering, how do you know another way to know the difference between a root user and an IAM user? If you click on this, you always see IAM user here. Did you see IAM user Vivian? If I switch to the other one, when I clicked here, did you notice there's no IAM here? So I just knew by looking at it anyway from experience. So I knew this was the official one, even though I used the same name. Okay. So you can apply MFA to both a root account and a user account. How do you do that? There are several ways. Okay. You can, one way is to go to the IAM service. Okay. You can click on frequently visited or favorites, or now, or you just scroll down and choose what security and choose IAM at the bottom, or just type IAM from the search bar here. Okay. Now, if I choose this, watch what's going to happen here. Remember that this VPN has limited access. Is it not true? So sometimes you may see access denied, access denied, access denied, and that's okay. Now, but if you watch closely, right? Because Vivian does not have permission to see some certain things because of the policy she has. If you click on users, this is what you're going to see. Now, so yeah, I think because of the policy I gave her, she cannot do this. She cannot create user. So if you have admin access in your account, I'm sure some of you all have that. You can click here and security credentials. Okay, good. This is what I wanted to show you. So whether you okay, let's see. Hold on, let me say. Okay. Because of the policy that I gave to it, I can find that MFA here. You understand? It doesn't have IAM permission. That's why you cannot see this. So take note of this. Okay. So for the purpose of this example, I'll just go back to my main account. But if you don't see the MFA here, how are you supposed to see MFA? Security credentials. Or you click on users, you will see MFA there. Okay. The only reason why this Vivian is not seeing it is because the only policy, the only permission she has is for S3 service. She doesn't have access to IAM. Take note of that. Good. So, but this Vivian has access to it. So if I come here and click users, okay, if I come here and I click users, I can select Vivian, all right? And you're going to see something here. Can you all see it? Under Vivian, enabled without MFA. So you can click on this, or I told you can click here and choose what? Security credentials, okay? And it will take you to the page, this. You see that? Now, did you see you don't have MFA assigned? Now, this is for the root account, okay? This is for the root account, and I don't want to do that, okay? Take note of this. The other option, can you see what it's telling me? This is the root user, okay? So because this is the root user, when I click on this, it gave me, but if I wanted to give MFA for Vivian, this Vivian here, this particular Vivian here, all I need to do is to click enabled without MFA. Did you see enable MFA? I'll click on this. I hope this is making sense to everybody. Good. Now, this is multi-factor authentication. So just give it any random name, okay? So I'm going to come here and say, Vivian, you can call it any name, Vivian MFA, all right? Now, there are three ways it tells us we can apply our MFA feature, okay? Now, passkey or security key. Authenticator app and hardware TOTP token. Now, this is actually a special kind of device that looks like a USB. Okay. Now, if you plug it to your device, once you tap it, it can lock your what is it called? Provide some form of authentication. Okay. So, but AWS says authenticate using your fingerprints, your face, or screen lock. Okay, create a passkey on this device or use another device like this. So these are different ways, both your facial type, whichever type you want to use, or you provide this type of USB, what is it called? YubiKey, or what is it called? FIDO2. I don't think if AWS supports YubiKey. Now, this is another hardware token. If you've ever been to a bank before, you see them using this type of hardware token that generates token numbers. Okay. Now, for this example, friends, please, we are going to focus on this because the level of complexity is very low. Okay, simple to understand. So choose this one, okay, the middle one, Authenticator app, and click next. Did you see that? Good. Now, if you come here, you're going to see these are two steps. Take note, step one, step two. So we select MFA. Step two is select the type of, so step one is list of compatible applications. So you can use different applications to do your authentication. You can use Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, Dual Mobile, or you can use Auth application. Now, what do I mean? Now, this requires you to do this on your mobile device, your mobile phone, or on this computer. So if you have, now, what's the benefit of all this? If you log into your account, right, it's supposed, what if somebody has access to your root account, your email and your password? Even if by mistake the person sees that, you want to set up an MFA such that you connect it to your mobile device, such that if the person does not have the token or the code that is generated by the authenticator app on your phone, the person cannot log in. Do you see that? That's how it works. So we are going to test it practically. Okay. So if you click here, you can see all the types of application that supports it. Okay. So you can read more on this if you want to at a later time so that you can see the type of application that supports it. Okay. So these are the popular application if you want to use the one I told you to choose. Okay. So now on my mobile phone, if you're using Android, you can go to Play Store. If you're using iPhone, you can go to Apple Store and then look for Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator. Once you install it, it's going to generate different codes randomly. And these codes will be generated every few seconds. Okay. Now, once you have that, you need to use that application to scan this code. Now, for this example, I'm just going to use my PC, but I encourage you to please use your mobile phone. Anyone is going to work, but let's say I want to use my PC. So this is Google Chrome, right? So I can come here and say Google Authenticator for PC. Did you see that? Can you see Chrome Web Store Authenticator? Click on this. Now, 5 million users are currently using it. Okay. 5 million users are using this. Now, I strongly encourage you to use your mobile phone. Okay. So now, even though AWS does not, what is it called? Does not, you can check this, sorry, you can check this list here so that you can see the one AWS approves. Okay. On Android or on iOS so that you can choose them. Okay. Anyone AWS approves, but this is also going to work. All right. So, because you can see people approving it even as August 2024. Okay. So now how do I use this? Very simple. I think I already have it on this device. So all you need to do is to add to Chrome. So it's already there. Okay. Now, if I click, let me see. If I click on extension, you're going to see Authenticator. All right. So once you add it to your browser, if you're using Google Chrome, right? Maybe reload your browser if it doesn't show, reload your browser. So I'll click on Authenticator and it's going to appear here. Do you see it generated random codes for me? Did you see that? And it will be rotating. Okay, this will be rotating. Now, so let's assume this is my authenticator app. So I'll come to my AWS account. So step 2, we've done the first one, which is to get the authenticator, okay, which is what I have here. Okay, this is my authenticator. Now the next one is show QR code. I'll click on this. This is the QR code. Please, I'm going to delete this after this session. Make sure, be security conscious. Make sure you do not expose this code, this QR code to anybody. All right, good, because somebody else that's very good in cybersecurity can use this QR code to generate your random codes and be able to access your application if the person tries every other means. Okay, so I'll just click here, click on the authenticator app. Now, if he brings this, you see up here, scan QR code. I'll click on it. You see that? I'll come here and do this. Now, sometimes the guy is very, very hesitant. So I usually have to come and do it again. So let's just try again. So let's see. Okay, what did he say? Unrecognized QR code. I'll click OK. So that's the limitation of this one. Anyway, if you're using your mobile phone, this shouldn't be a problem. So I'll click on this and try it one more time. Okay, so you see, what did he say? This has been added. Can you see it? This has been added. I'll click what? Okay. Did you see that? Now, if you watch the third step, what does this say? Enter the MFA code 1, MFA code 2. So I'll click on this, and can you see this is the Vivian's device? This is my previous device. Okay, so for this particular one, before this loads 910395, I'll come here and type 910395, right? Come here, click on this. 910395 is loading, it's loading. It's going to rotate and generate another one. Good. 619717. I'll click here. 619717. Now I've gotten the 2 digits. Okay. Did you see add MFA? I'll click here. And it's going to check if what I did. See, good. Can you see? MFA device has been assigned. If you understood what I did, please type yes on the comment section, just to be sure. Just to be sure you all understand. It's not difficult. It's not difficult. Okay, beautiful, beautiful. I can see yeses from everybody. Great. So now, note that next time when we try to log in using this link and the credential for this Vivian user, this user called Vivian, if she tries to log in again, it's going to tell her to provide her MFA code. After she enters a username and password, it will tell her to enter the MFA code. She will have to go back here, click here, and wait for the new code. So if it shows you a new code, type that new code there, and it will log you in. That's how it works. Okay? So because I don't want anybody to spam me or try to do anything very fishy, okay? Can you see under security credentials? Security credentials. I can just come here. This is the one I just added. I'll select here and do what? Remove. Yes, because it's possible somebody has seen it and you just want to be security conscious because you don't know who's going to watch this recording at a later time and try to test it. And the person could use this system to do something else. You understand? You need to be security conscious. But I'm sure you all understand how to add MFA right now. Okay, good. Now, this is the second powerful thing I wanted to teach you. And the last thing, so that we can wrap it up, last thing we want to do is call budgets. Okay, how do you set a budget? Okay, now what do I mean by budget? Because Chief Abiola has so many staff that are so excited about using, what is it called? Using the cloud. They are so happy. Okay, their life has been made very simple. Okay, now, and unfortunately for them, Mr. Abiola is very sensitive and very money frugal, right? He wants to ensure that your staffs are utilizing the services efficiently. Okay. Now, cost optimization is very, very important, and cost control. One thing that can help you stand out as a cloud engineer in any interview or in any organization, if you have skills that can help the organization to cut their costs, cost control, cost optimization, security, compliance. I don't want to go into all those details, but if you can have those skill sets, it's going to help a lot. So how can we help Chief Abiola to make sure that we are monitoring the bills? Like some of you are asked, somebody asked the question, I'm scared. I hope AWS at the end of the month is not going to just charge me just like that. I have a solution. So maybe that's the question Chief Abiola asked. I have a solution for Chief Abiola. And AWS has a feature that does that. It's called budgets. So how do I solve that? Okay. On your IAM account, all you need to do is to click here and type budgets. Okay. Now, if I type budgets, you're going to see this. Okay. Now, or you can go into what we call billing. Now, friends, if you are using an IAM user that does not have admin access, you might not be able to see some of these things. Might. Okay. You can click here and choose billing and cost management. Billing and cost management. All right. Now, for somebody using an IAM account that may not have admin access, you might not be able to see some pages, okay? Because some features are only designed for the root account, okay? Now, of course, the owner of the account should be responsible for seeing the cost. Is it not true? Aha. So you don't want your staff to be seeing the cost. Remember our organogram, okay? So how do we do that? AWS has something called under Cost Explorer. We have the, what is it called? We have a budget. I don't want to touch the Cost Explorer right now, but this is budgets. So either you click budgets here or you type budgets here in case you don't want to be seeing this kind of cost in a month. All right. So this is what it costs for me to learn and understand, practice as much as possible just to understand it. Okay. So now, but don't be scared. Okay. You are using the free tier that will last you for the next 12 months. Okay. So click on budgets and you get to the budgets page. All right. Now, if you get to the budgets page, there are different ways to create a budget. Okay. A budget. You can follow a template or you can create a custom budget. How do I know this? Click on create budget. Now you can use a template or you can customize one. Let's use the template for now. We'll come back to this. So leave it at template. Did you see the template? Zero spend budget, monthly costs, and daily savings. I'm going to leave it as zero spend budget. So if you leave it everything the way it is, just come here. This is the name. So this is email recipient. Now, how does this work? This works in a way such that you are telling AWS, I want to create a budget that notifies me. Okay. 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 Some person said they can't see. Is this the same for everybody? Hold on. Let me see. I think this is only peculiar to the teams. Those on the teams, can you see? Can you see my screen? Yeah, okay, those on the teams can see my screen. Let me, yeah, yeah. Actually did not touch anything. Probably it's the internet that lagged for a few seconds, and so you all did see it. I'm sorry, okay? I'm so sorry. I didn't touch anything. It's just the network. All right, so we'll wrap up shortly in the next 10, 15 minutes. Less than that. Okay, so this budget I'm creating is to notify me whenever my spending, if I start creating resources on AWS excitedly, right? Excitably, and I exceed a particular budget and AWS wants to charge me, okay? I want it to send me an email to let me know that, hey, take notes, you are exceeding this budget, okay? The threshold, you're setting a threshold to say, you are trying to exceed, this is your budget. Are you ready? Good. So this is zero spending. This is monthly. You can choose any option, but let's choose the zero. Okay. So I'll leave everything the way it is. Now, give me the email where you want me to be sending it. Okay, so I'll just put an email and say cloud and cyber at gmail.com. Okay, enter a valid email. Of course, that's valid. Okay, so that's all. Did you see create budget? Click on it. Very simple. Can you see? It told me I've already exceeded it. Can you see? Okay, so for some of you, you will not see this. You will not see this because right now some of you are using free tier. You understand? Some of you are using free tier, so you won't have this kind of problem. Do you understand? So, but for amount used is already 21 US dollars. You understand? And forecasted to be 33 US dollars monthly. Do you understand? So now, but this is good for some of you that are just starting. So if for any reason it's about to exceed $1, AWS will send you an email. Once you see it, please follow the link and check properly, okay? To see the services that you left running or something happened. There's something you left running or there's something you created and you did not delete. You understand? This is how to solve that problem. I hope this makes sense. This is what we call budgets. Okay, now that's one week. So let me show you the last one. So I'll click on create. Let's say you don't want to use this template. You want to use customized. Okay, now there are different types of customized budgets. Okay, we're wrapping up. So you can use cost budget, usage budget, savings plan. You can read up on each one of them. Okay, because of time, I won't want to dive into it. It's similar. Okay, but AWS recommends this. Okay, so I'll just choose this and click on next. Okay, now this is just a diagram that will be showing me how to create this budget. Okay, now, so if you watch here, I can scroll down. Okay, I'll scroll down. It's telling me there are 3 steps. 1 is to enter your budget details. 2 is to enter your budget amount. And 3 is to set the scope. So I'll scroll down. What's the name of this, my budget? I'll just say emergencies AWS bill. Okay, maybe this is what I have here. Now, set the budget amount. So it can be monthly, daily, or quarterly. All right. So because some of you are still learning, you can choose it daily, which means AWS will be sending you emails daily. Do you understand? Daily. Now, there are different types of, this is the period. Okay. Now, budget renewal. Do you want this budget to be recurring? Is it a recurring budget or expiring? In other words, after this budget expires, okay, it will not renew. But if this can be monthly, okay, every month is going to renew. Okay, that's how both of them is. But you need to set a date for them. Okay, some of these things are self-explanatory. I know I'm rushing. I strongly apologize, just so that I can keep to time. All right. So I'm just going to choose recurring budget and choose the start date. Okay. Or I can choose this one and just leave this date between this week and next week. All right. So you can scroll, sorry. You can scroll down. Now this is the budgeting method, fixed plan. This is like a fixed amount. Create a budget that tracks against a single day budgeted amount, like a fixed amount. Now, if I had enough time, I would have explained to you how the finance department of Chief Abiola would have maximized this feature. This will help them in terms of planning their budgets, okay? Their monthly allocation of finance, their financial plans, and the rest of them. Okay, so for their team to know that, okay, in the financial budget for the year, this is how much we are budgeting for the IT department, and so on and so forth. Okay, but again, there's not enough time to explain all those things. But this is fixed amounts, and this can be planned, and then this is auto adjusting. Now, but if you come here, remember that if you choose recurring, click here. This is what you have here. Okay, it's still the same thing. Now, but let's I want to keep it on this. Scroll down. This is the scope. do you want the budget to be set on all AWS services, or do you want a specific service? If you choose specific, you have to come here and start choosing the service you want. Okay. Now, there are different ways to, this is an advanced option, right? Different types of costs, both credits and different, you want it to bring different kinds of costs. We have unblended cost, amortized. So this is too technical for now. Okay. So you can, I will send a documentation to explain some of these things. All right. So we'll try to keep it very simple. Okay. So at this level, I'll just choose all AWS services. Okay. So now, having done that, I'll just scroll down. I think that's all. Okay. I'll click on next. So it's telling me enter your budget amount. So what is the budget amount you want to set? Let's say $5. Okay. So I'll just come down here and say next. Okay. So if you come here, so it tells you this is your budget amount. Now, friends, did you see that we're using the customized approach? We've created the budget, but we've not set something we call alert. Okay. Alert is what is going to send you an email when you exceed that threshold, this threshold you set for the day. When I used the template, I just explained everything direct. But if you use customize, you're the one setting it how you want it to be. So if you want to put an alert threshold, you click on this. Okay. So you now have to do what? And tell yourself, okay, remember the budget is $5. Do you want when it exceeds 50%, 50% of the budgeted amount, like 50% of $5 is $2.5. You see that? Okay, $2.50 if I'm correct. So 50% of the budgeted amount, that's trigger a message to me on this actual amount or forecasted. So these are different ways if you see the forecasted option shown. Okay, so you can use percentage or you can use the absolute value. Okay, so whenever you have this exact amount, so you can just regulate it. But again, I'll keep it very simple. Play around this. I'm sure we have very smart and intelligent people, so you guys will be able to relate with this. Okay, if you have struggle understanding this, please let me know. Okay, so you come here and then you put the email. All right, so cloudandcyber@gmail.com. All right, so I think that's all. So this is for other options, but we don't want to bother ourselves with this. So you can just click on next. And this is for you to review everything you've done. Okay, we've set the budget, we've chosen the budget type, we've set the budget we want. This is the start date, this is the end date. Every day, it will be observing that budget. You understand? And there's no tag, and this is the alert we configured, right? If you're comfortable with it, you create the budget. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how to create a budget. I hope this makes sense to everybody. And if you want to delete the budget, please select this, click here and choose what? Delete budget. Okay. But I want to encourage every one of you to please create a budget. That will be your task for today. We're actually going to stop here except anybody has a question. So your job is going to be to create a budget for your IAM account. Okay. And that it's going to be on the financial user, the financial department, that group you created. Okay. Somebody out of that financial group, you can just create what is it called? A budget. No, not necessarily. It has to be on the account you're using, on your root account. Okay. So on the IAM account, rather, create the budget, set an alert, configure it, and test it to be sure it's working. This is important for everybody in the course of this program so that you're not taken by surprise. Okay. And you feel like AWS is charging you unnecessarily. So once you see that email, please read it. Don't skip the emails and think they're disturbing you. It could be saving you from unnecessary bill. Okay, this is very, very important. Okay, so we've talked about AWS budgets, AWS alerts, AWS MFA, and AWS policy. Okay, this is what we meant by introduction to AWS security in the cloud for complete beginners. All right, now as I wrap up, these are the things we've discussed today. Do not use your root account, always use your IAM account. Okay, very important. I want you to also understand that anybody who has admin access can do a lot of powerful things. Do not grant admin access to anyone you do not intend to grant access to. Okay? MFA is very, very important. I told you the importance of MFA, and I use different analogies to explain what MFA is. Okay, in terms of authentication authorization, who who can do what? Who has to do with a user? Is it Vivian? Is it the admin? Who can do that? What can the person do? Okay, if Vivian is who, what can Vivian do? This is authorization. What can Vivian do? Can Vivian create S3 buckets? Can Vivian create EC2 instance? What can she do? Where can she do it? In other words, which account can she do it? You cannot create an account, a user in your account, and think you will be able to do it and be able to have access in another account. Okay? So a user, a service you create in an IAM account will not have operation in another IAM account. So that is where how has to do with how do you have access the device, okay, MFA and the rest of them. So these are more a part of the authentication and authorization as regards IAM. And we dive deeper by telling you this, something you should know, something you should have, something that you are, okay. And we understood the concept of rules, okay, and we understood how rules are being utilized, okay. And then we wrapped it up by talking about the billings, which is budgets and how to create alerts. Okay, so I want to believe that I've been able to touch everything I need to touch. I'll just pass three announcements and then I'll start taking questions. Okay, so if you have any question, just get ready to just raise up your hand and I'll point you out. But I need to pass these three announcements to everybody. Okay. So one of them is this. I got this information that some persons are struggling with their AWS account still. Sorry, I've been very busy, right? My work does not I have a full-time job, right? And I also have other private trainings that I do and other boot camps that I run. So sometimes if you see me create any free time to come and respond, just know that I just had to just do that. Okay. If I just step out of that place, I'm literally working or having a training somewhere. So please bear with me. Okay. Miss Vivian informed me about some persons tagging and trying to reach me. Sorry, it's not intentional that I ignored your message or I've not even seen it. Okay. So um somebody complained about an AWS email. Now, I have never seen it before. I have never seen it before where AWS is asking you about providing your NEPA bills. For those of you in Nigeria, NEPA bills, your means of authentication, and some other important information they are asking you. Those that are trying to verify their accounts. I have never seen where AWS is asking for those kind of information. Please do not provide. Do not provide. This is what I will recommend. Okay. I don't know how you got that information because I have never experienced it, except it's a recent or new method they used for Nigerians or some people. This is what I want to encourage you to do. Please, if you can still see my screen, watch at the top section. You will see what is it called? If you are watching on the top section, look here carefully. You're going to see support. Can you see this question mark? Support. Click on it. Okay. You're going to see support center. All right. Support center. Support center. Click on it. Now, when you click on the support center, this is the best way to get help. All right. On your account. Now, there are different ways. I will scroll down. Now, you can create what we call a case. Now, if you want to read documentation, you can click on technical bills and create, but this is, I just want you to get your solution, get a help. Click on create case, okay? Scroll down, okay? Now, because what you are trying to solve is account billing issue, choose account billing. You see that? Scroll to the bottom, choose the service. Now, in this case, come here and just put account activation. Okay. or billing, if depending on the case, just choose account activation. Category, just choose account verification, okay? Or payment method verification, depending the one you prefer, okay? So if payment method, severity, general question, then come here, okay? It's going to tell you to next step, click on this. Now, subject, urgent help for my account. Although they'll be wondering why you're using caps, all right? But please just keep it lowercase so that somebody doesn't have a mood swing and then decide to ignore your message, all right? So, but still, then you can now put a description explaining your situation, okay? Explain to them that this is the email you are getting, right? They are requesting for your this is what you try to do to verify your account, and they are asking you for this. You can attach the screenshots of the emails they sent to you. All right. Once you do that, that's all right. You can read this to attach any possible things you need, then click on this. Okay. Now once you do this, of course it's asking me for some things here. All right. So let's assume I choose all this. Let me this is me assuming, right? I didn't say you should choose no. Please read it so you can understand. I didn't choose anything, but please read it so you can understand. So if I click on next step, let's see. You see message. So, hi, I just want to say hello. Maybe that's not a problem, but I'm sure you all know what I mean. Click on next step. Now click on submit. All right. So once you click on submit, and click on next. You understand? And once you do this, AWS is going to send you an email, or they will get on a call with you. AWS could call you and you'll be able to get help from AWS. All right. So, friends, this is how to solve one of those problems. It's very important. Do not provide any information to anybody. Be security conscious. We will not be responsible for anything that happens to your account or your. Please just be security conscious. This is very important to everybody. Okay. Please, I want to encourage everybody. Then the second thing is please be careful with what you paste on the channel. Don't paste sensitive information. Always check what you want to paste before you go ahead on the Telegram channel. Okay, private informations and things. Be careful. We don't know who everybody is personally. We cannot vouch for every person personally. Please be careful with what you post. Okay. The last thing is please be careful with who you interact with. Okay. Be very careful the kind of information you provide to them. These are all the three things I wanted to talk about. And then the last thing is please, I encourage you all. I know I've not been so active on Twitter and LinkedIn. Please, I want you to take snapshots and start becoming visible. Start talking about the things that you're learning on this program. You understand? Take snapshots about the things you learn, write notes, explanations. Okay. We are going to give you a task on what to do for this weekend. So expect a document, expect a task from us. Okay. In fact, I think I need to tell you now, it's very simple. We are going to give you a task to do, but you're going to create a documentation. I'm going to share a video that will explain what you are expected to do. Okay. It's going to be your first article or your first publication. I'll guide you and give you the steps on what to do. Okay. So, but please, I encourage you all to please post on LinkedIn. The hashtags has been shared already. Okay. So yeah, I think that's all I want to say. And the cloud computing notes that somebody requested for, I'm going to look into it to see if I can get some resources and share to you all. Yes, that's all. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for tolerating me and staying this long. If you have a question, this will be a good time to ask. And if you want to go, yes, please, you can actually leave. So I'm going to stop right now. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. I think let's start from thank you. Let's start from the Telegram, from the Teams. If Mr. Victor, you have a question, I've unmuted you. Please, can you say something? Can you unmute yourself and say something?
Yes, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, go ahead, please. Thank you for your patience. Good evening, sir.
Mr. Frederick. Thank you so much. I really appreciate
You're
for the
welcome.
time you've taken to explain everything in details. So my question is, when you were explaining about Vivian having access to a particular policy you've created, and you added Vivian also to a group that has access by default, the group have access to that policy. So if she's a member of that group, she has inherited the
Mm-hmm.
policy, the permission
Mm-hmm.
from it. And you said the best practice is for us to remove the access directly from her and
Mm-hmm.
allow her to inherit the access from the
Mm-hmm.
group. So my question is, if for instance that was an IT department, let's assume that Vivian is the CTO
Mm-hmm.
of the company. Let's assume it's a company and Vivian the CTO, and we have a CTO of the tech team, and we have a team lead that have access to some document or some policies that the CTO also has access to it. Would that mean that we are going to remove those policies from the ID department, create a group that the CTO and the team lead will have access to it aside from the IT department?
I'm trying to understand your question, but let
So,
me
so,
try to
so,
respond it
so,
this way. Let me try to respond it this way. Perhaps that's what you mean. So, as a CEO or COO, right, following the organogram I shared with you all, right, it's very possible. Okay, let me see if it's here. So, this is the organogram I showed, right? Now, as you can see, this is Chief Risk Officer for both the risk management department and the compliance department, right? Now, so this person can belong to this group and also belongs to this group. So automatically, this person can inherit the policy in this group and in this group. So the CEO can be part of all this group. Yeah. So the CEO can be part of every group and automatically inherits the policies in all the group. I don't know if you
okay.
understand.
Yes, I
Is that
do.
similar to the question you asked?
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, so that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
All
Thank you
right,
so
so
much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you, sir. All
Yeah.
right. Mr. Oluwa Tobiloba, would you mind unmute saying something? I just allowed you to talk. Kindly unmute yourself if you have a question. Hello, Mr. Oluwa Tobiloba. Are you there?
Good evening. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please. Good evening.
All right. Um, I had a question on Monday, but I just kept it till today. And you know, while we're creating the IAM user, like I created an IAM user without giving the IAM user admin. So I thought of it after creating an IAM user. If you want to give that person admin privilege to oversee like manage the account, can you also give the person admin privilege after the IAM account has been created, or once you
Mm-hmm.
miss it while creating, you can't give that person the IAM user admin privilege again. I'm saying opening the account as a root user, and then can admin privileges be added and withdrawn by the admin user, by the root
By the
root
root.
user. Sorry, root. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the answer is yes. Yes. So even if you created the account without adding a policy originally, so the answer is yes. You can at a later time decide to add the access, admin access to the person. You understand at a later time, and it works. Okay. And you can choose to withdraw it at a later time. It still works. Okay. Regardless of when you created it. I hope
Thank you
that
very
makes
much.
sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So this is the last question we'll take on this section. Then we can go to the WebEx team. Please. Mr. Emmanuel, friends on WebEx, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Just relax. After Mr. Emmanuel. Mr. Emmanuel, please unmute yourself. Um,
Yeah,
where's the
thank you, Mr.
WebEx?
Frederick.
You're welcome. You're welcome,
I,
sir.
I really appreciate you are taking time to explain things in details.
Okay.
My question is on the section of the budget.
Mhm.
I noticed my question is assuming you have a company that you want to migrate to the cloud, and I already have an AWS account as the root user.
Mhm.
Do I need to open another account for them or create the IAM account and then give them administrative rights? If I do that, would they still have, will I be able to still assign the budgets individually if I do that under my root account? Or do I
Okay.
need to create a fresh AWS account for the company?
Okay. Ideally, right? It's
Mm.
how do I put it? The budget is actually decided by someone who has the what is it called, admin access. So this is either the root account or the IAM user that has admin access. Do you understand? Once you have admin
Okay.
access, you'll be able to create a budget and set up an alert. Do you understand? So the
Okay.
only thing is that you may not be able to see the billing information, but you may be able to set up an alert. Do you understand? So in response to your question, so as the person who is in charge of the organization, yes, you can create multiple accounts or you can create one account and then set up the budget for them. Okay. Now, once you set up the budget, now they don't even need to know. You understand? Yours is just to be monitoring it and be checking your email. The day you get it, you now call a board meeting and ask them, what's going on, guys? Why are we just spinning up resources? You understand? Can you tell me why you're using so resources? Are we doing anything new here? You understand? And the person needs to
Okay.
explain. You understand? So that's it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Yeah. You're welcome. All right. Mr. Prince, can you unmute yourself? I've sent you a request. Unmute yourself and say something. Then we'll take. Are you there? If you have a question. Are you there? Would you say something? Mr. Prince, we can hear you. Yes, please go ahead. Kindly proceed. You're welcome. Mhm. You couldn't see word. Come again. You couldn't see the customer managed, but what could you see? It's probably because you've not created, it's a new account and you've not created any account, any policy by yourself. So when you create your first policy by yourself, it's going to appear under the custom managed. That's the customer managed. You are the one who created it and you're the one managing it. Is that? Yes. You have, yeah, no. By default, you're the one creating it because you want to manage it. Yeah. Just like I showed you how to create one. Once you create one, you will notice that it's going to be appearing under that point. Does that make sense? All right, you're welcome. All right, so let's take one more person. Um, one more person here from this. Okay, Fatih. Fatih, or sorry if I'm correct. Please, I'm so sorry. The WebEx team, just give me a few minutes. We're almost done. So just three more persons remaining. Hello, Mrs. of Mr. Fatih or Fatih, if I'm correct. Please, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, madam.
So for the budgeting
Yes, please.
on the IAM account, I tried to like start a budget, but it's giving me you need permissions. It's showing a warning
Okay.
that
So
you need.
first of all, the user creating the budget. First of all, if you can read what the budget is, now one good skill you can learn is how to read the error messages. Once you can read the error messages, you know how to solve your problem. And another good skill is you can copy the error message and paste it on Google and be able to get help. And the third way is to copy the error message and paste it on ChatGPT, and it could give you help. You understand? This will build your confidence and build your skill. You understand? Now, but just to help, I want to believe what you should first of all check is the user that is creating that budget. What policies does that user have? Okay, check to know the user you are using. Okay, go and check
Okay.
in the IAM users and check the permissions, the policy attached to that user. Okay, once you check, you will be able to know. It's only someone who has admin access that can do that. Okay,
Okay.
so if you confirm that, then you'll be able to know how best to solve that problem. Okay. If the issue persists, please, you can always drop a screenshot and tag me or Mrs. Vivian, and we'll be able to give you help you need. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, madam. Do have a great night. All right. Mr. Henry, would you kindly unmute yourself? Mr. Henry? Yes, please. I can. Go ahead, please. Good evening. Yes, please. IAM user. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, you know what? Just paste the error. Can you paste this? Take a screenshot. Okay, take a screenshot. Okay, let me. For some of you that are still seeing my screen, if you want to take screenshots, even though I'll show you in the next video, but there's a tool called Green Shot. Green Shot. Okay, Green Shot. So sorry if you're just seeing this green short, you can just click on downloads, right? And sniping tool works. Yeah, you're correct, Ifama. You're correct. Sniping tool works. But I'll tell you the reason why I prefer this. So if you're a Mac user, you can use this, but Mac users has to pay. But I'm sure Mac users has good screenshotting tools. So for Windows users, you can use this, okay? But if you are scared of spam or anything, please use the sniping tool you have. But let me show you why I'm asking you to do that. So supposing we get any strange error, right? I want to do something and so on and so forth. So all I need to do is just to come here, click here and right click on this green shot and capture the region. So if I come here, I can capture this region, okay? And then I can edit it, right? So I can choose to highlight a specific area. So the goal is for you to explain so that once you just take a screenshot, just paste it on this chat section. I'll look at it and see if I can explain the error, okay? Mr. Henry, would you kindly do that? If it's on this call, fine. Else, you can do it on the Telegram channel and please tag me. If I'm not able to do it tonight, I will try to address it tomorrow morning, all right? But if it's something you can paste right now, please do so. All right. I hope that helps, please. Okay, let me send. Okay, let's take the next person. Mrs. Chinere, please, could you ask your question, please? Are you there? Do you have a question? Okay. All right. So, Mrs. Chinere, are you there? Would you want to ask your question? Okay, Mr. Abiodun, can you unmute yourself? Okay. Um, I'm not sure if you guys are trying to say something or it's just me. Okay. So, I think that. Okay, yes, I can. Go ahead, please. Go ahead. Okay. Oh, okay. I'll need to check it to know if there's AWS updated to just be meant for the root account. So it's possible it's just designed for the root account, but I would need to check it up and let you all know. Okay. So in fact, I can literally just do it. I can check it up or I can just use ChatGPT. It's very simple. It's not something that's supposed to require. Does AWS IAM user create budgets? Let's see. It's very simple. No. Okay. So right now it's not allowed. So probably it's just the root users. Okay. So let me see. To allow IAM user to create manage with okay, let me see. Um so right now it's actually the root account, but from what I can see, you can actually create a policy for that to be able to happen. Okay, for that to be able to happen. But I'll just check on it again, please, and let you all know. Okay. So I wouldn't want you to create this policy for that purpose. Okay. This is only if you want to create a specific user and give the person the ability to create a budget, then you use this policy. All right. But right now, you're just going to be using the, what is it called? The root account to create the budgets. Okay. For everybody who has that challenge, okay, please just use your root account to create the budget. Okay. But if you must use an IAM user, okay, what you should do is simply use this budget, this policy here, okay? Go to the IAM user and attach this policy. Once you attach this policy, that particular IAM user will be able to create a budget. So this is a policy that is used to create a budget. I don't know if that helps. If you want to try it, I can just share this policy with you so you can try it and get back to me. Okay? I hope that makes sense, Mrs. Chinere. So I posted it on the comment section. All right. All right. So, okay, madam. So, in the absence of any other question, I'm sure Mr. Henry that has also addressed your question. So, I'm sure every other person has been attended to. Friends, that will be all. Thank you so much for joining us today, and let's expect the recording and more clarification on the task for this weekend. All right. Thank you so much, and please do have a great weekend. All right. Let me stop recording. I think I can see a question from Babs. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Some person said asking a question. I'll see. Say, can't we just pick a policy originally created by AWS? From all indication, it's possible it's there. You can always check if there's a budget policy there. Yes, please check. Babs, you can always check. It's possible there's none there, but you can always check if there's a policy there for budgets. And if you find one, you can always attach it. But in case there's none, right, you can always use the AWS documentation or simply just use the root account. Ideally, it should just be meant for the root account. Originally speaking, it's actually designed for the root account. You understand? It's originally designed for the root account. So they'll be able to monitor. The root account is seen as the owner of the account. You understand? That's the idea behind it. Okay, friends, if you allow me, I'll continue talking. And it's almost midnight here. Please do have a great night rest. And that'll be all from my end. So let me stop the recording. Wow, I don't think I started the recording here. Interesting.